Hello, greetings from El Segundo. And Mr. Garrett, of all the names we've heard so far in relation to the Canucks' vacant coaching job, Trotz, Stevens, Desjardins, Huda, who do you think is the best fit?
Well, I think Barry Trotz is. Most recent experience as a head coach in the National Hockey League. Worked with what he had in Nashville. Very cheap organization because of their attendance and where they were, so their budget. Team built on defense, draft picks who ended up playing, Shea Weber, Ryan Suter, Kevin Klein, and goaltending. So people say, well, he was a defensive coach, when that's not necessarily true. And you remember that series that they played against the Canucks. They almost beat the Canucks had Ryan Kessler not had such a great series against the Nashville Predators. I think Barry Trotz is the kind of experienced NHL coach that would fit in well with the system the Canucks have to get back to, that Trevor Linden has talked about, that entertaining puck control system that he and Jim Benning obviously want their new head coach to play.
And you think Trotz can coach that, despite the fact we haven't seen it?
I do. But the problem for the Canucks is there's 4 vacancies out there. Okay, there's Carolina, there's Washington, there's Florida, and Vancouver right now, and maybe a 5th if Dan Bilesma gets it with Pittsburgh when they hire their new GM. So I think sooner rather than later if you're going to hire your new head coach.
Do they have to go with an experienced NHL head coach, or can they go with Desjardins or off the board with like Jeff Blashill in Grand Rapids?
Well, Desjardins now has some NHL experience with the Dallas Stars, and John Stevens obviously has had experience in Philadelphia and then the long time associate coach here in Los Angeles. But I really think that NHL head coach experience of Barry Trotz gives him the edge. But whether he chooses Vancouver, and people say, well, you know, he's got a place in Kelowna or Penticton or wherever it is, and he'd love to come back. I know he'd love to coach in Canada. But that being said, Washington is really after Barry Trotz. Interviewed him last week.
Whatever the pick, it's going to be an interesting month at least as they go through all these candidates.